will the world economy recede into recession? Is it heading towards a recession? This is a question that is agitating the minds of not just the corporates, policymakers, but even the common man in the street, because the economy impacts each one of us. So what are the trends? Well, there are alarmist predictions, there are moderate expectations, but what will the data say? So we can't exactly predict whether the recession will occur, if so what time, but certainly the world economy is facing headwinds. This is something which we can conclusively comment upon. So let me quote the data for that. So the economic data is released periodically. Estimates are updated periodically. So the OECD, Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, a club of rich countries, the policy group of OECD, predicted the global growth to be around 2.8% in 2023. So this was the prediction in June this year. Now the OECD policy group revised its prediction downwards. Now states that the global growth may not be that much, but may actually be around 2.2% only in 2023. So let me also give you the prediction about the German economy. In this June, it was predicted that the German economy will grow by 1.7% in 2023, but now it is revised downwards to only 0.7%. So I gave you the example of the Germany and I gave the example of the global growth. So the estimates in June are not standing. By the time you come to September, the estimates are revised downwards. Let me now give a comparison between the present year's economic growth and the next year's possible economic growth to get a comparison. The American economy is now growing at a rate of 1.5% this year, and this may come down to mere 0.5% next year. So this is a very drastic fall. Similarly, Chinese economy is expected to grow by only 3.2% this year. This is the lowest growth rate in China since 1970s. We all know that for several decades China has clocked a double-digit growth rate post-liberalization in 1970s. So the Chinese economy is also receding. So the European Union, which is the worst hit by the Russian war on Ukraine, as I told you many a time, that Europe depends on Russia for 30% of oil requirements and 40% of gas requirements. As the US-led West imposed sanctions on Russia, Russia has retaliated by cutting down the energy supplies to Europe. The energy situation in Europe is increasingly becoming grimmer, and it may become much more worse in this winter. The entire Eurozone, comprising of 19 nations and even the United Kingdom, are facing cost of living crisis. The political manifestations of this economic crisis is also felt. The ruling regimes are facing the heat of the economic crisis. I gave you the example of Italy. The ruling coalition, an umbrella coalition of national unity government ranging from the left to right, has collapsed, has lost the elections, and the Brothers of Italy, a neo-fascist organization, a far-right political group, has won with a significant vote share. The Brothers of Italy party has 26% vote, got 26% vote, and its allies, along with allies, it could poll 44% of votes. So the European economic growth rate is expected to be around 3.1%, and this is likely to fall to mere 0.3% in 2023, in the next year. So therefore, the European Union growth rate below 1%, American growth rate below 0.1%. So you can imagine the kind of situation that's emerging. And the 2023 is expected to be much worse for yet another reason. The world is experiencing hyperinflation. United States is witnessing an inflation which is considered to be 40-year high. So to tame that hyperinflation, the central banks of developed countries like the Fed Reserve of United States are resorting to interest hikes. So in classical monetary theory, by raising the interest rates, they want to contain or they want to restrict the liquidity in the economy. But the reduced liquidity in the economy will result in higher capital cost. Obviously, when the interest rates increase, the capital cost increase. When the capital cost increase, the investment rate will decline and economic growth will obviously be compressed. So the attempts to attempts to contain inflation will have a negative consequence in terms of the compressive growth. So this is called stagflation. In economics, this is a lethal combination of stagnation and inflation. But not even stagnation. Today, we have falling growth rates coupled with hyperinflation, which is a very dangerous combination. Let me explain to you in common man's language. Suppose you have an income of 20,000 rupees per month, and next year your income increases to 30,000 per month on an average. Prices increase. It doesn't affect you much because your income has also increased. Well, fine, if your income increases and prices do not increase, you will have more savings. But as long as income increases, the impact of higher prices will be felt less. But what is happening today? Assuming that your income doesn't increase, it remains stagnant at 20,000, or it may even fall down and the prices will increase. So when your income declines and prices increase, that will be a lethal consequence for you. Similarly, it happens in the world economy also. The growth rates are falling, prices are increasing. The lethal combination is the stagflation. But what will be its impact on India? Well, we have an experience in global financial crisis of 2008, when Lehman Brothers and many Central European and American banks collapsed. Well, the global financial crisis, did it not impact India? It certainly impacted India, because India is a part of this interdependent economy. When global growth shrinks, the demand for goods and services in the world will come down. This will obviously make export sluggish. So Indian exports will be hard hit. We are already witnessing a widening trade deficit. So because our exports are not rising faster, but imports continue to rise, resulting in the widening trade deficit. So this will result in the widening current account deficit. It will exert pressure on our rupee. We are already witnessing an historically low level of rupee exchange value with dollar. Is around 81, 82 rupees per dollar today. So I am not telling there will not be any impact of this possible global recession in Indian economy. It is impossible to completely insulate Indian economy from the vagaries of the global economy. But let me tell you, India is not an export-led economy like Sri Lanka, or India is not an export-intensive economy like China. Well, here I have used two different phrases, export-led economy and export-intensive economy. What do I mean by? Sri Lanka is an export-led economy because exports are the main income earner for Sri Lanka. Other than exports, the foreign remittances, foreign tourists are the main source of income for Sri Lanka. That is the reason it is an export-led economy. China has a very strong and large domestic market, but exports play a very important role in the Chinese economy. Therefore, we call it export-intensive economy. Unlike the China and Sri Lanka, exports constitute a lesser share of India's GDP. So therefore, we may not be so much impacted by the global recession, even if it occurs. Well, we have the experience of global financial crisis. Prior to the global financial crisis in 2008, in 2007-8, India GDP grew by over 9%. It was a record growth rate. But due to the global financial crisis, India's growth rate during 2008-9 has fallen to 6 to 7%, below 7%. So therefore, even if the world witnesses recession, there will be an impact on Indian economy, but it may not be too debilitating. The reason is simple. India is not an export-intensive economy, and we have a very strong domestic market of 140 crore people. So that will be our advantage. But still, when the world recedes into recession, India will also have negative consequences to deal with.